Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture we would have drawn our 5 heads. We have our center, our 3/4 views, and our profiles. We've also added eyes to them, and all the eyes you can see are along that center line. I put mine right on top of the center line. You can put it right through. You can even put them right below, but I would not draw your eyes up above this line like where I have. Eyes up here, you're not giving you enough space for a forehead or for hair. You could draw them a little bit lower, that's fine, but too high ends up looking a little bit weird. Now, we talked a little bit about the eyes, and I went through a couple different variations. These are obviously not the only options you have, but just some to get the ball rolling. You can also do these sort of, parallelogram eyes, which, again, they don't have to have all the details in them, but we want to learn how to draw those basic shapes. Today what I'm going to start doing is the nose, and for the nose what I'm going to tell you is less is more. So one of the things people end up doing with the nose is they draw too much, and by drawing too much it ends up looking weird. So for the nose what I tell you is less is more. Don't draw too much for the nose. The first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how I would do the nose looking straight on. So this is going to be a demo, like if you're looking eye to eye, face to face without any turn, that front pose, what you can do. And I'll give you a couple options. All right, the first thing that you want to do is you want to kind of create a little bump, okay, like a little letter U. That little bump is the septum, the center of the nose, that tip of the nose. All right, and if you just kind of add just a little bit of darkness, that's your nostrils. And then all you have to do is basically add parentheses to either side of them. All right, and that's a really, really simple nose. And that, in a lot of these things, is all you're going to need. People are going to realize when they look at this part of the face that when they see something in the middle of the face, you don't need all these crazy lines to describe it. Sometimes all you need is just a little bump and the parentheses. And again, you could do that in a variety of different sizes and styles. You can give it a little bit, make them straighter, less round. You can make them more pinched. There's a million different types over here. Now, some of the other things that you can do for the nose, and again, you can start with some bigger nostrils. And some people like this look, and everything's a matter of style. So what I'll do is I'll create 2 little black marks, and I have my little bump in between them, and then again I can just add some parentheses to them to add that effect of it being a nose. You can also eliminate the center mark. You can do 2 little bumps like this, the nostrils without that center septum, and you can also then just add your parentheses. Now, some people really feel like they need to draw the bridge of the nose all the way up and draw like a full shape. They'll do something like this, where it's like, here's my nose. And that always looks very, very weird and unnecessary. But if you feel like your drawing needs something from the straight on view, you can always put like one little dashed line like this, which will represent the bridge of the nose. But if you notice, I don't put it dead center. I put it off to the side ever so slightly. So we have those options over there. You can also do a nose where you don't really have the nostrils. So we could do our little parentheses. Those would be the outside edge. And then we could just kind of make a little center bump. And if we added one of those little slashes, that could give you a sort of shape of the nose as well. There's a lot of different variants. You can add elements to it. I'll do just a couple more. I'll do my nostrils. I'll do my parentheses, and sometimes people want to have a little bit of the structure of the nose, so you could do 2 more little lines, and that can kind of give you a hint at maybe the bridge of the nose. You can even do that and add one of those lines as well. You don't need to make them very complicated. Less is more. You can even just do something where you have line, line, mark, mark, and that will be sufficient. again, less is more. I want to get a little creative and change the shapes a little bit. That'll give you some style and variation. So remember, don't go crazy on how much you're drawing over here. You have a lot of different little options, but less is more. Now these were all noses from the front, you know, and what I want to kind of give you is some examples from the side too. And once again, less is more. So the first one, instead of drawing, since I'm going to look at it from the side, what I'll do is I'll draw one sort of nostril. Okay, that's going to be the nostril part of my nose. And right underneath here, that'll be the front. And I could do a little bit of the bridge of the nose. I don't have to draw this all the way up. I could extend it. And then another little one parentheses. That will be a 3/4 nose, and one that you can obviously use for a profile or a 3/4. You know, again, we don't have to have such a pronounced nostril. You can go work on the front part of your nose, a little line, and then a little parentheses. That'll be enough. Less is more. You can even do less than that. You can do the very bottom of the nose and a little nostril. You can do a little profile of the nose and a nostril. You could do that with a parentheses. You can do a more dramatically larger nostril. And you can go from there. So keep in mind that less is more, but when you're doing the 3/4 or even the profile, all of it really depends on a nostril and a parentheses. So when you're working, you know, even just a little bit will give you that hint of a nose, and that's all you need. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of apply what I just did as far as the noses to the faces that I drew. And I'll come in tight on my front pose and my 3/4 to start with. Now, where should I put the nose? Some people have long noses, some people have short noses. What I would tell you is that a good place to start to try to think where it should be is if you go from where the eye line is, that center line, and you go to the chin. Halfway from the eye line to the chin is a good place to put the nose. You could put it a little lower, you could put it a little higher. It'll just give you a slightly different look. But halfway from the eye line to the chin is a good spot for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make that little sort of bump. I've decided to kind of make a little curved edge here for my nostrils. And then all I'm going to do is add my parentheses on either side. That's all I need. I don't need to draw lines that go up the straight way of this thing. I don't need to draw really dark, heavy nostrils. I don't have to add any of that. I could, but that would be a perfectly acceptable finished nose. And again, if you want, you can kind of add little hints at the sort of bridge of the nose, but I wouldn't draw a line all the way around connecting that. I think this is a lot easier and a lot cleaner to see, and it gives you all the information you need. And again, you can make different variations by making it skinnier or fatter. The nose is a really distinct kind of thing. So again, by altering the shape ever so slightly, adding more details, you really kind of, you know, change the look of the character. But any of the ones that I showed you earlier are definitely acceptable. But again, you want to make sure that this is centered on your center line, and then again, somewhere between this point where the eyes are and the chin is a good place to put it. You can put it slightly lower, slightly higher, but you're not going to put it up here, and you're not going to put it way down there. For our 3/4 view, okay, again, we have options, but I want to keep it relatively at that idea that halfway from here to here. So I'll kind of give myself a little indicator. Now, where to put the nostril, I could put the nostril across the middle of this center line, but I'm going to put more of it on the long side. And then I'm going to put my little parentheses over there. That parentheses, a good place to have it, would be wherever you have this eye, the parentheses for the edge of that nose should pretty much be right underneath it. And then here, all I have to do is mess with the shape of it. I can make that line continue up. I don't have to. You can leave it sort of unfinished looking, which is more than enough. You can continue this line up through here. All right, or you can cut it off like right down there too. All of that is acceptable. Stylistically, less, again, is more. You don't want to have too much little work to do over there. And again, it'll pass as a nose. And since we're at the 3/4, we're only really seeing one part of it. Again, the way you shape this, the roundness or the size that you give this, gives it a different look. And I'm going to just work on the other side right now. I'm going to do a slightly different nose. This one, I'll put it right about here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lower part of the nose and then my nostril. And really, on a simple drawing where you want to essentially have the fashion of the actual piece be the part that people focus on. The reason why we're working on faces is because we want to add a face to it. It adds an element to it. We don't want the faces to be goofy looking or distracting. So we don't want to overdo it, but we do want to have some pieces. This might look a little like Voldemort. You can always add just a little bit more of a tip of the nose there, and that's all you need. Again, you can a variety of options over here, and really the most important thing is only seeing part of it. You can even just do a slight edge over here for the back of the nostril, and you have it. You could do that with or without. It really doesn't matter. And the good thing about the noses is that when you do these for the 3/4 view, the only thing that you have to consider for the profile is really you've made that part bump out. Now, how far do you want to make that? Or how sharp do you want to make that nose? And you have a lot of options over here. You can make it really small and refined. You can make it a little bit bigger and bolder. But again, we're only really seeing one side of it. And that is totally up to you how you want to do that. But again, these noses should be somewhere from the eye line to the chin, approximately halfway. And again, with my example, which I just put up, I'll bring that into focus for you all. Less is more. Don't go crazy. You don't have to draw a ton of lines. You don't have to overdraw them. You shouldn't be drawing the bridge of the nose, especially dead center. You can always add that to ones like this. And again, just mattering on the contour of that line and the shape of it, you get a very different looking face each time. And I've given you a few of them to look at over here. I'm just going to take a quick snapshot of this, and I'll post the video for you guys. But you're going to add noses to all 5 of your faces.